everybody. Welcome to episode 180 of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. As you know, we are a Paul McCartney talk show mainly dealing with the solo career of Paul McCartney. I'm one of your co-hosts, or unfortunately, I'm the only host today, Tom Hunyadi. You may know me from my other show, Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast where myself, Ken Michaels, Kit O'Toole, and me, Mr. Mayo, talk all things solo Beatles. And today we are doing a first in the series where we talk to musicians who specialize in a certain instrument and we talk to them about McCartney's playing with that instrument. And today we're talking to Tim Bowman, who has a YouTube channel called Judge Timbers, and he's here today to talk about Paul with me about the Paul as a acoustic guitar player. So Tim, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Doing great. I'm sorry we're missing Andy tonight, but very, very happy to talk to you about Paul McCartney and all things guitar. So thank you so much for having me on. I just want to say, as we said privately, you and Andy, the podcast has really, changed my channel, and I really appreciate everything you guys have done.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say. And, we all help each other. This is a big community. And, if we can, help each other out doing anything or appearing on our shows, I mean, I'm all for it. Whatever we can do to help spread the word of our channels and get, people interested in, especially Paul McCartney.
Sure.
This is the show. But as the big news is out, I mean, obviously the worst kept secret in the Beatles this last year was the Revolver box set, and we're getting all this information. And I just want to real quickly touch base with you on the album Revolver and your feelings about that album.
I mean, if not the best, one of the best. I mean, I'm not going to try to rank the Beatle albums. I leave the rankings to you guys. Always enjoy those shows, by the way. But I mean, Revolver, you could argue the best. There's certainly a case to be made there. Very excited for the deluxe issue. I really want to hear this John Lennon early demo of Yellow Submarine. That's probably, of all things, I'm very interested in the studio work, the demos. Not as interested in the remixes and all that, although that's fine. I'll listen to them, but I'm more interested in the demos and the outtakes and the development. So Revolve, it sounds like, I mean, I've kind of glanced at the track listing, if that's accurate. I mean, it sounds like a lot of good stuff. So I'm very excited about it, and I'm glad we're getting it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that John Lennon led Yellow Submarine, and it seems like we get this like one or two really special gems in these box sets, because the White Album, we got to hear like a little snippet of Paul doing Let It Be. On Abbey Road, we got this killer version with Billy Preston's organ playing for I Want You. So we're getting a lot of really nice stuff we heard before, obviously, but some snippets like this Yellow Submarine that are going to make the set even more special. So, but yeah, I think Revolver, I was on Ken Michaels' show, and, Revolver was my pick, which I think is the Beatles' best album. If we were so bold into saying, what is their best album, and it's tough to do. Like you said, it's just like, I know everybody. It's like, I know everybody uses that analogy. It's it's like picking your favorite child. You know what I mean? So
yeah, my go-to answer is the White Album for myself, but maybe that's because it's so acoustic. Not that I don't enjoy electric guitars and other music. I do. I love piano, but I think the White Album, for sheer diversity and the multitude of riches. I mean, having a double, it's hard to compare a double album to a single album. And I make the argument, people say, let's cut it down to one album. I say, let's make it a triple album. All the songs that didn't make the White Album, I'd be fine with a triple album. So for me, it's the White Album, but it's so hard. It's so hard.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's talk about you and, your history with the acoustic guitar. When did you start playing? Was were you raised in a musical family? And let's talk about that for a few minutes.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. I would just, for background, I was born in 1966, the year of Revolver.
There you go.
I don't remember it being released. Unfortunately, I have no first-hand Beatle memories. I just missed that a little bit. I tried to really strain to think maybe I caught Let It Be at 4, but no, I didn't. So I'm 56 years old now, just to put some perspective on me. Next generation or first generation fan. My parents were not very musical, but I had two older brothers who were. And
Okay.
that was my introduction absolutely to music. So when I would say 73, 74, 75 would be my first early memories. And I'm sure you know, and everybody
Mm.
knows, those early memories are the lasting memories. That
Yes.
locks in the music you're going to love
Right.
forever. And it's still the music I love today. So, my brothers, my older brothers, they were 3 and 4 years older than me, were listening to the Who, the Kinks, the Beatles, Elton John, Jimi Hendrix, just so much. But I had one brother, when I was mentioning, who lives in Santa Fe, my brother Chris. He's 3 years older than me. He was the big Beatles fan.
Mm.
So he brought home the Blue album. And the Blue
Oh,
album was absolutely my entree to the Beatles. I know people talk about, Get Back being it, or the anthology, that most people, later on will talk about that. But for me, like first generation fans, the Blue album and then the Red album, that was the gateway for a lot of us. It definitely was for me. That was it, over and over. I heard all the later stuff before the early stuff, and then just
okay.
accumulated from there. And that same brother, about the same time, so I was about 7, 8 years old. He started taking guitar lessons, acoustic guitar. He had a little classical acoustic guitar with nylon strings, which are really nice because they're really easy to play. On the
Okay.
regular guitar, steel strings, when you start, you have to get calluses. It hurts.
Yes.
Sometimes you bleed. And a lot of people give up the guitar because of that. So my recommendation, try a nylon string, either classical or acoustic guitar. But anyway, it was my brother who had the guitar, and I just sort of kind of stole it from, borrowed it when he wasn't playing, and borrowed his chord books and just started
Hmm.
learning by ear. And he would show me some things. And that's really how it started.
Right. Learning by ear. It does it sound tougher than what it really is, or is it difficult?
I mean, I think it's very dependent on the person, and it takes a long time. Like now, I feel like I have a pretty good ear. Most of the songs I learned of Paul's are by
Right.
ear. I try to find songs that there aren't lessons for, or they're bad chord charts, and I just listen. But when you're starting out, learning by ear is pretty hard. I wish
Right.
we had YouTube in the
Yes.
70s. It would have helped so much. Kids today are so
Right.
spoiled with 50 million lessons on how to play every song, and you can find some
Right.
instructor out there. I wish we had that. I mean, I learned kind of the hard way, uh, you know, but it led me to where I am now, and I got to meet a lot of musicians along the years, mostly amateur, a couple of professional, but
Right.
mostly amateur, and just playing with people here and there. Picked up things, but mostly putting the record on and trying to figure out, what are they doing? What do they sound? How am I get that sound? Sometimes I couldn't do it, and sometimes I could, and I've gotten better at it, but I'm still not perfect. There's some Paul McCartney songs I cannot figure out. I don't know what he's doing. And
Right.
there's all sorts of things with special tunings and stuff. It's very hard to do that unless you're really like a Lawrence Juber
Right.
level professional, which I'm not.
Well, I'm sure when people go to his concerts, they're looking at his fingers, right, to see how he's how he's positioning his fingers and what chords he's playing.
Absolutely. And again, back then there weren't many videos of the Beatles playing, and
Right.
there's not that many live. I mean, most of all the later stuff except Let It Be, there's no real, well, there's a few live performances, I guess we could say videos, but for the most
Right.
part, you can't really see that. But now there's a lot of live performances. Paul's play a lot of his solo and Beatles songs live, so you
Hmm.
can watch his hand. You could try to follow what he's doing. That's
Right.
very helpful. That's very helpful. You could see if he's using a capo, which if you want to talk about later, we could, but I don't want to bore non-musicians, but to see where a capo is on a guitar really helps you play it more like the original artist is playing it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Okay. So you've got all this history now. So let's flash back to 2020 when McCartney 3 comes out, and you're listening to Winter Bird, Longtail Winter Bird. And you want to play it? Does that explain then how you learned it yourself? Then.
Um, that I think was just listening. I mean, McCartney 3, what really brought me into my channel was Egypt Station, just to backtrack
Mhm.
for a second. But it was similar. I was kind of up and running when McCartney 3 came out. So when that came out, I already had,
Right.
I guess, subscribers and had been doing it. But I
Mhm.
really started at Egypt Station. But
Okay.
that was it. Yeah, just listening to the songs. I try to put out lessons as early as I can when the song's out. I mean, I'm not rushing or killing myself, but
Right.
I can figure it out. And some I couldn't, or I didn't think I did it well enough. I try not to embarrass myself too much. But if I think it's close, my
Right.
channel, I mean, I'm not trying to be
Right.
perfect. I'm not a Beatles tribute person. I mean, those people are
I
just,
get it.
yeah,
Right.
they're astronomically talented. But I'm trying to get close enough to, so if you're playing it to somebody at a party, at a bar, at a coffee house, they recognize the song. That's
Right.
good enough. That's good enough for me.
Right. So, okay, let's talk about your channel then, Judge Timbers. Let's talk about the name first. How did you come up with that name, Judge Timbers?
Well, this is going to be a two legs exclusive. I've been asked
Okay.
this. I've been asked this for 5 years now on my channel, and I've always dodged the question.
Oh,
Um,
well, okay.
so I'm going to give you the straight scoop, Tom. I'm an actual judge. I mean, people have
No
asked me that for a
kidding.
long time. I'm a judge in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I actually work for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I'm low level judge. I do workers' compensation cases, kind of administrative judge. So I don't put people in jail or anything like that. But it's a great job, and I wear a black robe in my day job.
That's
I've
awesome.
dodged this question for so long because I didn't want to really open it up on YouTube, and believe me, I'll delete any comments. But my
Gotcha.
channel is purely music. I don't get into anything. I don't get into the law or politics or anything. But I am actually a judge. The Timbers part, my late father-in-law, when he met me for the first time, um, just called me Timbers. Like, hey,
Really?
Timbers, how you doing? And he's a great guy, big music lover, big Beatles
Mhm.
fan. She's a Woman, for some reason, was his favorite Beatles song. I don't know anybody
Wow.
else. He loved. I would play
Right.
that for him. But he called me Timbers from day one, and my wife has kind of taken that on as an affectionate name. Nobody else
Ah,
really calls me
nice.
that. But when I started my channel, it was just my personal channel. It wasn't.
Right.
I didn't have subscribers. It was just my place for home videos. So I just put Judge Timbers, and I
Hmm.
just never changed it. And I thought about changing it and maybe make it Paul related or Beatles related, but people know me now as Judge Timbers, and some people call me JT, and
Right.
there's LJ and there's JT. That's the only thing we have. It's the only thing we have in common. So that's it. I've never publicly said
Oh,
that, but I don't
well,
mind, and it's fine. But
okay.
I'm Tim.
All right. Well,
Some
thank you
people
for
call
that
me Judge.
exclusive.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine as a nickname on YouTube, but whatever is fine. This is all about music and our love of
Right.
Paul and the Beatles and all that.
Cool. Well, thank you for that
Yeah,
exclusive.
yeah.
Thanks for sharing it.
No problem.
Yeah. So the channel itself, like you said, you wanted to get on. Obviously you wanted to show your love for music, for playing acoustic guitar, and you've said before, because we've tried to record this show before, but you're a big fan of playing of electric guitar as well, right?
Yeah, I play. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely all my lessons are on acoustic guitar,
Hmm.
but I have an electric guitar. I play electric guitar, and but I focus on acoustic guitar now. But I have a bass, and I have
Right.
a small recording studio, and
Oh, okay.
that kind of stuff. But acoustic guitar, rhythm guitar, really, what John Lennon played in the Beatles is really, I guess, what I would consider myself as a rhythm guitarist. I'm not a lead
Ah,
guitarist, and
right.
I'm not a bass guitarist or anything like that. But so I guess if you're not a musician, think of John's part in the Beatles. That would be more what I would do if I were in a band, I guess, which I'm not.
Right. So when did you decide you wanted to just, come up? I know you said right around Egypt Station, but was
Yeah.
this always your idea? Was to just, come on, play the song itself, and you're a pretty good singer,
Thank
if
you,
I
Tom.
don't mind saying. And I like how sometimes you incorporate your wife right in there too.
She's done.
Sometimes,
She's done
yeah,
Linda
yeah,
McCartney at my
that's right,
request, and she doesn't. She likes Paul and the Beatles, but that's not her genre.
right.
So that was a real stretch, and I was so proud of her. And I've done Yoko. Done Yoko
Right.
songs on my channel, but yeah, my wife is very supportive. I'm very lucky. It does take time, I'm sure, just like you're probably. I mean, you're more
Yeah.
busy than I am. It takes time away from your family and all that. But I think to answer your questions, I never planned to do a YouTube channel. I never planned to post guitar lessons. It just sort of happened when Egypt Station came out. There were a couple of songs on that really, I guess, touched me, and
Hmm.
I just wanted to play them for myself. And when I did, I was like, oh well, I have a YouTube channel. Maybe I'll just post a lesson, and that kind of started it. And from there, if you want to sample, I could play you the song that
Yeah.
started it
Please.
all from Egypt Station.
Would
I was
love
just
it.
gonna play a little snippet or snippet, whatever you call it. So hopefully I won't mess up.
Excellent.
So thank you. Happy with you. So
Happy with you.
that was the song that I heard. I love that song. I love Paul's old man voice on that song. I think it fits the
Yes.
song. I'm getting older myself, so not to get into a Paul's voice discussion, but I think it's perfect on that song, and I love
Right.
what he's doing on guitar. So that was it. That was the first thing I posted. That it didn't go viral or anything like that. I had no subscribers when I posted it, and
Right.
but I did get some feedback, some positive feedback, and
Cool.
requests for other Egypt Station songs. And I kind of slowly worked my way through most of Egypt Station, I think. And then it just kind of, hey, do more and do more. And my channel completely started as a Paul McCartney channel. So I'm like the two legs of
Yeah.
guitarists, because it was just Paul. It wasn't
Right.
John or George or the Beatles or anything. It kind of has expanded in time over the years.
Yes, I noticed that because then you branched off into, George, John, and Ringo. I mean, Tom Petty.
Yep.
So you're definitely, branching out and playing other artists, which I think is great. Obviously, there's just so many, Paul songs that you can do.
I am running out, to tell you the honest truth, but there's still some more I want to do. And there's a
Right.
couple, I mean, if you want to embarrass me, I could tell you a
No.
couple that I just can't play or can't figure out, but I'm going to give it more time because
Right.
I'd like to get through a couple. I'll give you one, Little Lamb Dragonfly. I
Okay.
love that song. I really need to sit down and work on that one. That's going to take some work for me. But
Right.
hopefully someday I'll post a lesson like that. But I posted, I think, over 200 Paul McCartney songs,
Yeah.
almost all solo songs. I try to highlight the solo work, and
Yeah.
this is what I've gotten from listening to your podcasts. The deep tracks, a lot of them I wasn't aware of or I hadn't heard in a long time. I hear you and
Mhm.
Andy talk about them, or talk more talk, and I oh, let me try that song, okay, and I'll post that. So that's why I'm saying I do owe a lot to all of you podcasters, but you guys in particular.
Oh, thank you. One of the videos that you did that I really enjoyed because it's like my favorite thing that he's done outside of his own catalog, and that's Best Love
Oh
from
yeah,
the
Steve
and
Martin,
Steve
yeah.
Martin, love that track, and it was really cool to see you do that song because it is a fabulous song.
And that may have well come from your channel, you guys discussing it. I don't think I was aware of that. I mean, I was aware of Steve Martin. I knew he played the banjo. I don't know if I knew of that. And I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a
Yeah.
great track. So I did that a long time ago. I couldn't play it right now. I don't remember it. But yeah, that's the kind of songs. That's exactly why I like to do my channel. And I think, like I said, there's many better guitarists out there, and YouTube instructors. I'm not in competition with anybody, but few would post a lesson on a song like
Right.
that. And that's what I try to do. I do throw in some big ones once in a while.
Yeah.
And I try to make everything Beetle related, but I cover very few Beatles songs. They're covered so much by better people.
Mhm.
Mike Bocelli is a masterful
Right.
guitarist. What's the point of me doing a lesson on the song Mike Bocelli has done? It just doesn't make any sense. So maybe I've done it by accident, but I intentionally
Right.
try not to. And there's other people like him.
Right.
But I don't think he would do some of the obscure songs I do. So that's what I can offer, maybe.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so please, and we'll mention this later on. Check out Judge Timber's YouTube channel. Not right this second. Let's finish watching this video first, but after that, and we'll put the link down below so you guys can just click on that and head over to his channel when you're ready. But yeah, fun channel. I really appreciate what you do. I love how you do the song first, and then you break down the bits that you like to talk about, and I think it's really interesting, and it's good for I guess people that have the passion for acoustic guitar and want to learn, and that's what
Yeah.
I like about your
Um,
channel.
well, thanks a lot, Tom. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's really geared to more beginner level guitars, but maybe beginner slash intermediate, not for advanced players.
Right.
But as you said, I always start with a cover. So even if
Yeah.
you're not a guitarist, you're a musician, if you're curious, what would Waterfall sound like on acoustic guitar?
Right.
Um, Check me out and you'll see what like my version of it is. If you don't want to stay for the lesson, that's fine. A lot of people
Right.
just come for the covers. Some people only come for the lessons. Some people come for everything, and some people don't want to have anything to do with it. And it's all fine. It's all fine. It's a passion project. My channel's not monetized. It doesn't matter. I'm just doing this. It's really as a way of giving back in a weird way. I get pleasure out of it, and I'm
Hmm.
enjoying it. But I've gotten so much from people like you, the podcasters, the authors, other musicians on YouTube. So it's just kind of my give back, purely
Hmm.
hobby, and that's it. There's no other motivation. I'll never monetize my channel. I can tell you that. It's just for fun and passion. So
Excellent. In general, like, or on average, how long does it take you to learn a song before you um, bring it to the video to a
yeah,
video?
most are pretty quick. I would say under a half hour, an hour.
Okay.
Once in a while, I might struggle with a certain chord or just one part of a song and go back to it later. But generally, I try to learn it all at one sitting,
Hmm.
and then jot down the chords or whatever, and then I'll rehearse it. Maybe for a week, it would kind of be sitting around. I'll have a group of songs that I rehearse, and then I'll try to do a recording session, and
Okay.
record a couple lessons at the same time. All my lessons, my goal is everything to be, including the cover, everything to be less than 10 minutes. I mean,
Hmm.
my videos, I try to hit about 5 minutes. I mean, the cover might be 2 minutes because I'm not playing solos and all that. So I do kind of an abbreviated cover. And then I try to do a quick guitar lesson, and that's it. I don't really go into a depth about the history of the songs. I might talk a little bit, but I leave that for you guys. I mean, that's podcast material. I don't want to go through the whole, I don't want to go to the backstory of how, Paul wrote this song. I just, if I'm doing Here Today,
Hmm.
you could talk about Here Today and the story for 2 hours. I don't want to do that on my channel. I want to show people like how it sounds. And if they want to try to learn to play it my way, at least, here's a way you can.
Right. Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about McCartney. I guess
Yes, I know.
the acoustic guitar. I mean, let's face it. I mean, would you argue the fact? I mean, he's going to be known as the bassist, right, from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is, and for good reason. And he's a fantastic bass player. And I'm not going to address any of that because I'm not a bass player. But I think he will go down as the Beatles bass guitarist. Obviously, he was
Right.
playing other instruments with the Beatles and solo, but I think he will be known as a bass guitarist. Overall, I think that's
Hmm.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say maybe a close second would be acoustic guitar. Um, he's very. I mean, he does a great job with electric guitar. We know, you know, drums he does great. Not, I mean, well, a good I should say, but maybe not great. Piano, I think he's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, those are some of these acoustic guitar numbers that he does might be some of his best songs of all time.
I mean, I love them, but again, I'm not I mean, I love
Right.
so much of Paul's work, but I mean, my position is, I'm going to sound like a lawyer and a judge,
Right.
is the acoustic guitar is Paul McCartney's most essential instrument.
Okay.
Maybe he's not most known for playing it, but I think it's his most essential. It's his main songwriting tool,
Hmm.
and I think it's his favorite instrument. And I say that. First thing, Paul McCartney has said that himself on Desert Island Disc. I'm sure
Right.
you've listened.
Hmm.
He was asked one luxury item on the island. It wasn't even an instrument. He could have picked a radio. He could have picked a television.
Right.
And he picked an acoustic
Acoustic
guitar. He didn't
guitar.
pick a bass. He didn't pick an electric. He didn't pick a drum set or a piano. So, I mean, to me, that's pretty good. I know sometimes the Beatles change their minds, as all human
Right.
beings do. But I think coming from Paul, I don't think he would change his mind if you asked him that question now. If you did
Hmm.
Desert Island Disc with him now, I think he'd still say that. And I know he's, been using the acoustic guitar a lot on Egypt Station, on McCartney 3. So
Hmm.
I think that's, there. Um, the other thing I was thinking about is, preparing for this. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, the acoustic guitar is the only song, a love song that that Paul has ever written an instrument about. Like he's written a song
Right.
about a musical instrument, and of course that's Confidant at Egypt
Confidant. Yeah.
Station. So I
Right.
mean, he didn't write a love song about his bass, or
Right.
and I'm sure he loves his basses. But
Right.
I think it's something special about an acoustic guitar and his relationship and his learning, and all that. So if you indulge me, could I just read a couple of lyrics of Confidant? Is that
Please.
okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
just
Absolutely.
real quick. I don't want to
Yeah.
read to the audience, but
Mm.
I think this is really touching. You used to be my confidant, my underneath the staircase friend, but I fell out of love with you and brought our romance to an end. I played with you throughout the day and told you every secret thought. Unlike my other so-called friends, you stood beside me as I fought.
Hmm.
I mean, that's pretty heartwarming stuff Paul's saying to his guitar.
Right.
So his acoustic guitar, again. Um, You know,
I'd say
so
that's a pretty good muse right there, his acoustic guitar.
yeah, maybe someday he'll write a song about his piano
Right.
or
There you
whatever.
well, that's a possibility. So talk to me about his playing then. I mean, what do you think it is about his acoustic guitar playing that makes you want to learn those songs?
He's very versatile, multi-dimensional. So some acoustic, and I'm never criticizing anybody, but some have particular styles.
Mhm,
There's kind of two general schools of acoustic playing that's very grossly exaggerated or whatever, but simplified, I guess.
mhm,
But there's finger picking style. I would say somebody like a James Taylor,
right.
superb finger picking, pretty much finger picks all his songs, most of them and most of the big songs we would know,
Mhm,
and fantastic. And then there's strumming. Maybe think of somebody like Neil Young or something,
yeah.
when he plays an acoustic guitar. That again, there's all different styles, and every guitarist plays all different ways. But Paul is really, really multidimensional. You can't really pigeonhole him, and he's done so many songs in different acoustic. We're just in the acoustic guitar world here. And then Paul has that unique thing, which again, we could do a whole podcast on, and I'm not going to bore everybody.
Right.
But I'm sure people know the whole story of Blackbird and how Paul plays. He plays a finger picking style with his thumb and his index finger, and he kind of gently, just kind of not strums, but kind of just
Right.
touches the strings with his finger. Very, very unusual. That is really pretty unique. I don't know if anybody else does that. I've always
Right.
wondered if it had anything to do with him being a lefty and learning on righty guitars and flipping them over.
Mhm,
I don't know if that changed his style, but he just plays different ways. So it's not the same thing every time, and he's great at all different ways. I mean, Paul
mhm,
can really strum a song. There's a couple we might talk about tonight, just as well as he can do some beautiful finger picking. So
right. Have you noticed a pattern with his acoustic guitar playing? Have you noticed like certain chords that he likes the best, or that he uses the most, maybe?
yes, for sure. Because now, I have learned, over the last couple of years to play a lot of his songs.
Mhm,
Paul has said publicly or on record that the E chord, standard E chord, that's his favorite guitar chord. He was asked that. It was kind of a goofy question. What's your favorite
mhm,
chord? I don't think I have an answer, but he said E, which is a very good sounding, like open chord to play on a guitar. There's a lot of open strings with it. So,
mhm,
um, but yeah, you do hear patterns. What I would say, what I was going to highlight, and this goes to Paul's composition style. I'm not a songwriter. I mean, I do original songs, but I'm amateur at that too. But I've noticed Paul's songwriting style, which is also very much like his musical playing style, both on guitar and piano. He really likes what I'd call, or we call, musicians call, ascending patterns, progressions, and descending patterns and progressions. So I
mhm,
mean, just real basic, ascendings going up on the guitar. Well, I'm off
right.
my camera there, but whatever, people might just be listening, going
Let
up or
me
going down, right?
see what I can.
It's okay. I mean,
Do.
it's fine. It
Here we
just
go.
I'll play you like actual song, real, just a
Right.
snippet to give a better example. But I would say Paul, many songs, many great songs have ascending progressions and descending progressions. But I really think that's like Paul's specialty. It's like his special secret thing that makes so many of his songs. And I think the songs, we talked about discussing tonight, you'll see there's a
Mhm,
common theme on a lot of those songs, that they have those kind of patterns. So a famous Beatles song, I wasn't going to do a Beatles song, but real quick,
mm,
an ascending pattern that people would probably recognize would be like Here, There, and Everywhere. So something
mhm.
like this, just real. So that's an ascending pattern. It's going up, right? So Paul was doing that back in the old Beatle days.
Mhm,
A descending pattern, just a real quick little snippet, would be something like Great Day from Flaming
mhm.
Pie, right? So something like this. So you can hear, I think, hopefully, it's going
Right.
down. And you can see my fingers going down if you have the video,
Yep.
and going down and then kind of finishing. So
Ah.
just two quick examples. There'll be more, but that really is the theme, I guess, of my discussion, or conversation about Paul as a guitarist. I think there's something in our brains. I've never studied formally music theory, but I think there's something in our human brains that especially descending patterns and progressions of notes and chords. It's just appealing to people. It's just pleasing to the human brain. And Paul taps into that over and over again. And I don't mean that as a criticism. I mean, I consider that a strength. He does it differently, but and not many other songwriters do that, but he's very good at it.
Very cool. Very cool. Any other acoustic guitar players that kind of similar to Paul in a way, or Paul similar to, or is it just do you think it's his own style, what
I
he
think he
does?
does play different, and a lot of people, like I said, Neil Young on acoustic plays different than Paul McCartney. They do have their
Right.
signature styles. If you hear Pete Townsend playing acoustic, he has a very, you can kind of recognize a Pete Townsend kind of
Okay.
strum. So there are different styles, but I don't know that there's anything. I mean, he's not doing anything so different other than maybe that one picking
Right.
style, but he does have a distinctive sound. You could probably hear Paul play his guitar and guess it's Paul. Like if you compare John playing and
Right.
Paul, they
Right.
do play differently. John's a much more like banging chords. I mean, he could finger pick and all that too, but usually, he's really playing like his Gibson acoustic guitars and stuff. And Paul could do that. I mean, he can do anything, but obviously, but I can't think of another artist like I think sounds like Paul. I can't think of somebody like.
Right. It's his own. He sounds like almost kind of like I mean, you can tell more like with the electric guitar. I mean, when Neil's doing electric guitar, it's Neil Young. I mean, like, probably Clapton. You know it's Clapton when he's playing guitar, or even George Harrison. When he's
Yeah,
playing electric guitar. So I would
definitely
think. Would you
live for
say
sure.
electric guitar is probably easier to tell who's playing than maybe acoustic guitar?
I mean, a lot of songs, the acoustics in the background, it's strumming at low in the mix. Sometimes you don't even know. Speaking of Revolver, I heard there's some acoustic guitar on the new mix in the background of For No One. I never heard acoustic guitar in For No One. So, I mean, another thing to look forward to. That's what I mean. And many songs, it's kind of hidden in the background. And, some it's more prominent and some it's the only instrument. So it goes all different genres. But I guess it is what it is, but
Yeah, true. True. All right. Well, you're gonna play a couple songs for us and just highlight certain parts of them and talk to us about what's unique about the playing, and maybe we'll go with one of Andy's picks first.
sure. Well, one of Andy's picks was Dominoes, so maybe we'll start there.
Okay.
So again, off Egypt Station.
Right.
So I'll just play I'm just going to play like the acoustic
Yeah.
part, and we'll talk about it for a second. So something
Okay.
like this. So
Yeah.
that's the opening riff, as you know. It's the
Yep.
closing riff. Paul comes back to it over the verses. In most of the other parts of the song is kind of what we were talking about earlier. The acoustic guitar is more a background instrument, and the full band's playing, and you don't really hear much. Maybe a little strumming in the background. But what I like about this, firstly, it's just a great what I call a riff. You could call lots of things riffs, but what Paul's doing, he could have just think about it. He could have finger picked that, right?
Right.
Or he could have strummed it, right?
Right.
But by doing this kind of thing, it really makes it. And he really plays his vocals off that. So I can't really describe it. Obviously, I'm not going to teach how to play it. If you could watch the lesson if you want.
Right.
But what's interesting to me, he kind of does just like a little flourish. He just kind of goes down on each string, kind of in a pattern, which is I don't know how many other songs, if any, that he does that. So
it stands out more in a
it
way.
stands out so much more. It's different. I was thinking about it, and I love Ringo. I mean, big time, obviously. But when Ringo's like, I play guitar, A, that kind of thing. And I love Ringo. I'm laughing with Ringo. Peace and love, Ringo. But Paul is not that he doesn't play chords sometimes, but he's gonna spice it up and really. And that I love Dominoes. Fantastic song. I was happy Andy wanted that one. But that part really, I consider that that would qualify for a dream set when we get there at the end for me, because it's acoustic led. It's acoustic based song, even though it's a full band song and you can't hear an acoustic for some of the song. To me, that opening riff, closing riff, and all that is really what grabs me to that song. But I love the whole song.
Excellent. Excellent. Can you, we'll edit this part out. Can you can you lift yourself a little more, or can you bring the camera down a touch more?
Yeah. Yep. I can. I'm on the laptop. So let's see. Let's see. How did I bend it? Is that better?
There you go. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Excellent. No, don't apologize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on a big laptop, so I can do it.
Yeah. This is going good. All right. Okay, cool. So that was Dominoes. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to one of mine.
Sure.
Please, if you will.
Do you want me to choose? I think you chose two. Why don't you do Calico Skies?
Great.
Really another beautiful song. This one, obviously, all acoustic. A little tricky to play, so I'll do my best on this. I'll just play a little bit of it, and then we'll talk about it. So let's just see. All right, here we go.
Beautiful.
Thanks. That's a tough one for me. It's really hard to sing and play that for me. I will say, Paul, even when Paul plays it in concert, he strums that now. He doesn't finger pick it.
Okay.
So but that's fine. So a couple of things about this. Paul and really all the Beatles, they were not big into open tunings. And again, I'm not going to go into a music theory thing, but basically open tunings is tuning a couple of you have 6 strings on a regular guitar, tuning a couple of them to a different key, we'll say. And that it sounds different on the guitar, you play it differently. The Beatles really weren't into that much. But what Paul did, and he was known for, is to tune his guitar down. So he'd take all the strings on his acoustic guitar and just kind of tune them to a lower key. So the most famous example is Yesterday. It's kind of people have talked about this forever. Calico Skies, he's tuned down, we call a half step. It's like one step down, like one note down. And the reason Paul may have done it, the reason guitarists do it, one, it makes it a little easier to sing because you're tuning down the music. So you're not singing as high. Also, it gives you a little more give on the strings. So on this song, I am not tuned down. So I'm playing it actually a half a step above the record. So my strings are a little tighter. I'm in what we call standard tuning. I haven't changed my tunings. So the strings are a little tighter. It's a little harder to pick, not that different, but he's got his strings a little looser. That's why if you listen to Yesterday, you hear a lot of stuff going on with the strings. They're making a lot of noise. It really sounds good. That is really tuned down, and it really adds a lot.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so the loose, kind of more, the strings are looser? Or
they're looser. Yeah, if you tuned it down, I would be. I'm not going to do it now, but if I tune down anything, the strings, it's kind of wrapped tight now, and then just gets looser, and it not only takes the sound down, but it takes the string, makes it looser. I don't more slack on it. So mine right now is tight, like a normal, what we call standard tuning. The other thing I was just going to point out at Calico Skies is a descending pattern. So the whole thing, you could probably see my hand as I'm doing it. So it's, you can see my hands going down the guitar. It's interesting because Paul is playing in it's the same key of D. It's D major. But he's playing it in different octaves, which again, we won't define, but it's the same thing, but he's just going down his guitar. So I said, every song we've picked to talk about, you're going to see a descending pattern, maybe some ascending patterns. And that's not by accident. These are the songs where the melodies are so beautiful. So Calico Skies.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I've told the story where, my wife and I, we incorporated that song into our vows at our wedding, and it's just those first two verses are, for me, are some of Paul's best ballad lyrics.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
love
No, I
that
was so
stuff.
happy when I saw you ask for
Yeah.
that. First, I was like, oh, that's a hard one. But I was
Right.
like, forced me to practice a little bit. But I was like, but I
Right.
was glad you did it. And
Mm.
it's hard to talk about Paul as acoustic player and not talk
Right.
about that song. So
Yeah.
great choice.
It's up there for me for as one of his best acoustic guitar performances. Um, you know, and he's
Yeah.
got 50 years of
He's got
solos
a lot of
behind us.
them. Yeah.
He's got a lot of them. Yeah. All right. So you have one too that we can do next.
Yeah, well, I put it right up there with Calico Skies, and that would be Here Today. I mean,
Oh,
Paul's still playing this in concert.
right.
So let me play a little bit of this. I'm just gonna play a short part, and then we'll
Hmm.
talk about what I'm hearing in there and why I like it so much beyond
Okay.
the obvious John Lennon part,
Right.
but musically. So something like this. So we'll
Hmm.
just stop there.
Right.
So here's what I wanted to say about Here Today. Again, I'll leave the story and the meaning of it, but it's related to what I'm going to say. Um, I think because Paul was writing this for John, his best mate, and
Right.
just died recently, and he was, personal song and telling the regrets. I never told you I loved you. I
Hmm.
think it's really significant to me how he starts this song, and maybe most people might not notice it, but if you think of the very beginning of the introduction, it sounds just like this, right? So Paul is sliding his finger on his guitar. Now, that's a lot of guitarists slide fingers, bend fingers, but I really noticed that, and I think it was intentional. He could have just started with that first chord, so the chord just starts like this, but
Hmm.
instead he slides his finger, and you might be able to hear me when you slide your
Right.
finger. You could hear my fingers. You can tell I'm a live person. I'm a real person, and I think Paul was creating like immediate intimacy right
Hmm.
in this personal song to John, and he wanted to bring us all in. So to me, that's really meaningful. It's like the intro to the intro of the song.
Right.
And maybe I'm making too much of it, but I actually notice things like that. And I would love to know if Paul just slid his finger because he just felt like sliding his finger, or if
Hmm.
he thought about that, or if George Martin suggested in the studio. I'd love to know that. So if Paul ever comes on Two Legs, Tom, if you could ask
Yeah.
him that, did you slide your finger at the beginning of
Right.
Here
Right.
Today? Judge Timbers wants to
Right.
know. So,
um.
but go ahead.
No, I was just saying when I hear that, it also kind of feels like it might be um tuned down a little bit as well. I mean, is that the case, or am I just hearing?
I don't
Um.
think this one's tuned down. I think
Okay.
it's in standard tuning. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. I usually play along to the records is when I learn the
Okay.
songs, and I think Paul's playing it still in
Still.
concert
Okay.
in standard
Okay.
tuning. I'm pretty sure. I mean, if somebody knows, they can always correct it, but I'm pretty
Right.
sure that's in standard tuning. And then one
Okay.
other thing I'm just going to point out again, the
Right.
theme of the show. You might have
Hmm.
heard it. You might have noticed it when he's doing this part.
Hmm.
So that's another descending pattern,
Right.
just with the notes. So again, he uses that, and it doesn't sound like anything like other songs he's done, but that technique is definitely a songwriting tool he uses. So it's another
Okay.
example.
Excellent. Very cool. Yeah, great choice too. I mean, again, that's another masterful acoustic guitar performance from Paul. Very heartfelt for sure. And
Uh,
when I did see him, listen, I've seen him do the song now, what, 3 times, and for some reason, this one that when I saw him in L.A. This at the beginning of the summer or whenever it was, I forget what it was, but for some reason, there's moment times where you listen to a song, it doesn't affect you, but then there's that one time where it does kind of affect you. And then for some reason, this past time I saw him, it really, touched me, in a way that it hadn't before. So maybe it's just because I thought maybe this is going to be the last time I ever see him live, or
yeah,
something. But
yeah. Well, that's one.
great tune, you know.
I if I saw him now, I definitely
Yeah.
want him to do that. I know he's done it many times, like as opposed to Hey Jude, which
Right,
obviously is a masterpiece. But I
right,
would skip Hey Jude, but I wouldn't skip Here Today. And I love his acoustic cassette when Paul does that stuff.
right.
Um, so yeah,
Cool.
Couldn't agree with you more, Tom. There's a lot
Right.
of it's a big Paul love fest here on Two Legs.
Very true. All right, let's go to Andy's second pick.
What did he pick? Oh, okay. He
Yeah.
picked Another Day. So here's a Paul strumming song. So I'm just gonna play a little bit the
Right.
first verse, and we'll take a little break and then see.
Mm,
So you probably know it.
Go ahead.
Well, I
Yep.
know you know it.
Take it away.
So
Hmm.
that's like the first verse.
Right.
All I'm going to point out, obviously, Paul Strum, like what I said, John likes to strum, Paul likes to strum too. That's a great strum song. There's so much, Another Day is another one you could spend an hour on. We won't.
Right.
But I just wanted to highlight the verse. I just think that's one of the most beautiful chord progressions. It's such an earworm. It's another song I like very much. So I just wanted to play it because I think even just
Right.
playing the chords, sometimes if you just play chords without words, without vocals, it can be boring. Honestly, that's why I sing usually when I play. I usually don't do it this way, but
Hmm.
I don't want to have my voice everywhere. Um, but I just think that's just a beautiful progression. It's such a
Right.
nice chord changes. The only other part I just want to highlight now. Again, there's other
Hmm.
parts of the song, but the next part, the so sad part.
Yes.
So let
Yes.
me just show you this. So
Please.
it's so sad, right? Alone in the apartment, right?
Right.
So
Right.
what Paul's doing, here's an example of Paul doing an ascending pattern progression into a descending progression. So if you listen, he starts there, then he's going to go up
Hmm.
one, then he's going to go up one, then he's going to go back down one, and back
Okay.
down to where he started. So
Gotcha.
there's an example, ascending, descending in the same song, and he goes back to that at different points in the song, which is also genius, I think. So he kind of
Hmm.
uses things at different points. So if we were doing the whole song and going through it, I'd show that. But I just think, again, every song I think we've discussed so far has at least an ascending or descending pattern, and not all songs do. Not all
Right.
songs do. You know.
Right. Talk a little bit about strumming for a second, just in general. Is that the easiest thing to learn when you're learning guitar, or is it difficult?
No, strumming. And again, I'm not formally taught, so there's all people. When
Right.
you learn basic guitar, they start like down, down, or down,
Okay.
down, up, down. These weird things. I think that's a real hard way to learn, and it turns off most kids who are learning guitar.
Right.
It's like playing scales on the piano. The kids say, "I don't want to do that."
Right.
I really just think it's something. It's technique. It's the more you do it, it's like everything, muscle memory. The more you do it, the
Hmm.
better you get at it, and you watch other guitarists, you listen to them. But I think it's one practice. It's practice. Guitar is practice. I play a lot. I mean, I've
Hmm.
gone through different stages in my life where the guitar has been more in the background. It's always been there, but sometimes it's risen up and it's gone down. Last 5 years, I've played a lot, so that helps. You just, I don't know, the muscle memory, your calluses build up, so you can play a
Hmm.
long time. And I think your strumming just gets better as you do it. But
Right.
I'm sure, when I play with other musicians, sometimes I realize, I don't keep time right. There's different things. I like to play by myself, honestly, because then you know what you're doing. And it's kind of like driving the car by yourself and you don't have a passenger. You know when you're going to turn, so you're kind of
Hmm.
ready for it. But strumming, I think I know a lot of beginner guitarists, new guitarists, and strumming is a challenge for them.
Okay.
So it is something you have to work on. Guitar is a hard instrument at the beginning. It's worth it. But
Right.
piano, when you start a piano, and I don't play piano, I mean, I fool around on a piano, but when you hit a C note, it sounds exactly like Mozart playing a C note. On
Mm.
a guitar, when you try to play a C note for the first time, you're not going to sound like Jimi Hendrix. You're not going to make music. You're not going to make any sound. You can't hold the
Right.
string down. So I think,
Okay.
it's hard. It's a hard instrument to start with, but once you kind of get
Okay.
over the hump, it's very rewarding, obviously.
Hmm. You use a pick at all, or are you just
I
using
do. I'm
your?
doing both. I'm
Mm.
strumming there with a pick.
Okay.
Both. I consider myself more of a strummer type.
Okay.
The finger picking is something I'm picking up more now. trying to do more of it. Definitely, for some reason, if I do write an original song, it's almost always finger picked. I don't know why,
Right.
but I generally use a pick.
Okay.
Try not
So
to.
is there like the extensions people can put on their fingertips as
Yeah,
well?
that's usually a finger picking thing.
Okay.
There are some different things. I'm not that fancy. I mean, this is just like a regular pick,
Mm-hmm.
nothing fancy. And then if I drop that, I'm gonna just use my hand as
Right.
best I can. And then I do finger pick, certain songs,
Okay.
like Calico Skies. There's no pick there. Although Paul plays it live, I think he's using a pick. He might just be.
Mm.
You can strum with your hand. I mean, you can strum.
Right.
I'm just using my fingers. You can do that, and that's fine. But sometimes, you'll hurt your nails. You'll get the string caught under your
Right.
nail. So pick kind of gives you a little distance.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. Cool. All right. One more to go.
what
Let's
do we
do
got?
my last. My
Oh,
last pick.
okay,
My
yeah. Let me
second
just
pick.
take a sip of water here for a sec.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So from Wildlife, right? Good
Yes.
choice, and one of my favorite songs. And when we compare song lists, we'll see.
Right.
So some people never know. So let me just do the I'll call the little riff again, kind of like Dominoes starts with that
Right.
riff. So this one's something like this, right?
Oh, I love it.
So obviously Paul goes back to that many, many times, and the outro
Mhm.
goes on with that. It's beautiful. Again, that's basically ADE. That's like Ringo. I play guitar, A, D,
Right.
E. That's basically what Paul's doing, but it doesn't sound anything like that the way he's doing
Mhm.
it. So that's just wanted to point out the riff because it's so kind of iconic. The
Mhm.
other thing here, this is another perfect example of a descending progression. So let me just kind of gently strum this. I'm just going to hum the melody
Okay.
over
Okay.
it, and you'll see you might partly see my hand, but I'll explain in a second. So
Okay.
just go right into the verse. So it's going to be like. All right, so you could hear the descending pattern, I
Yeah.
assume. Yeah, I mean this is like classic. So he starts. I'll show it more this way. So he just kind of
Okay.
goes down, goes down, goes down, goes down. Then he starts again. That goes down, goes down, goes down, and down into the riff.
Oh, wow.
So look, a lot of people love this song, right? I mean, it's one of the
Mhm.
ones that constantly, especially lately, and I don't
Right.
think it's a coincidence that the whole verse is
Right.
basically one big descending pattern. Again, I just think it's something in our brains. We love that, and then he'll raise his vocals as he's descending on the guitar or the piano, so he can do
Mhm.
so much with that. So that's
Excellent.
another great choice, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's just again, it's just when you hear it, I just love how unique sounding to me they're unique. A lot of these acoustic, strong. How would you call it? Riffs that he does at the beginning of
I'm
the
just going to
song.
generally call them
Yeah,
riffs. Yeah.
yeah, and how unique and when you hear it, you know what song it is. Automatically. It's just beautiful chord structure. I mean, if that's what the how you the term for it.
Yeah, chord structure,
Yeah.
chord progression, chord
Percent.
pattern. It's
Yeah.
all
Okay.
fine, and I'm sure there's people watching going, Paul doesn't play it exactly that way. I may not be
Right.
playing exactly the way Paul's playing it, but
Mhm.
hopefully it sounds like the song. That's all
Oh,
I'm
it
trying to
sounded
do.
like it
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. Well, it sounds like it to me, but
Right.
the one thing I've learned in the Beatles community. I love the Beatles community,
Mhm.
and you're out there,
Right.
on podcasts. I'm sure you get your comments.
Oh yeah.
People could be harsh. And it's
Oh
like, hey
yeah.
man, I'm just doing this for free.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend like 50 million hours learning exactly how Paul plays it. This is
Right.
my best effort, and take it or leave it, and it's fine. But I've been very fortunate with a lot of positive stuff, very very little negative. But it's one of the reasons I tend to not do Beatles stuff.
Right.
The solo stuff just people are gentler with solo
Right.
stuff. They really are. When you get into the Beatles world, and I
It's a whole
dabble in
nother
it. It's
monster.
a whole nother monster, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's like it's not worth it.
Right.
So whatever. Yeah, but that's a
Yeah.
great
No.
choice. I'm glad you picked
You.
that.
thank you for that. But you are absolutely right. It's dealing with Beatle music and solo Beatle music is a whole nother thing. It's just funny how seriously people take the Beatle side to it and the playing to the solo music, which is probably not as re, you know re, uh, is loved or universally loved as maybe some of the solo music is.
Yeah, I think, in Beatles world, if you don't play on the actual exact instrument the
Right.
Beatles played it on, you're
Yeah.
crucified. It's like, come
Yeah.
on, what's the difference? I mean, this is actually a Martin D28. This is what the Beatles played
Right.
in India, but I didn't buy it
Right.
to do that.
Right.
It's just a great guitar, but I don't have Beatles guitars around my house. I don't have Rickenbackers. I would love, if anybody wants to send me a Rickenbacker, please do. But I don't, you can play on any instrument. That's fine that people do that. I'm not being
Right.
critical, but I think, that's a little, I would never criticize a musician for not playing it on the same exact instrument or playing it through the same amp, the Vox amp the Beatles used. That's great if you want to exactly do that, and that's an art and that's a skill. But I'm not trying to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well. Okay. I'm gonna see if Andy's gonna join us here or
Okay,
not.
sure. Taking a little
So
break here.
yeah, we're gonna.
We could do the dream set if that.
Yeah, that's what I would like. I mean, I
Yeah.
wanted him to join us for that. Give me one
Oh, it'd be
second.
great if he can. Yeah, no problem. I'm good on time. You guys,
Yeah.
I really
Okay.
appreciate doing this. I'm enjoying it.
Right.
And it's okay if you don't want. You mentioned talking about Friends to Go. It's fine if
Yes.
you don't want to
Yeah.
cover that. Whatever.
No, I do.
You're,
I do. And thank you for reminding me.
I had a couple of thoughts, but
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
long. Let me get my tea.
Yeah. He's gonna kill me because I think I misunderstood him. Going back and reading the texts that we had this morning,
Uh-oh.
and I think he just wanted me to do a test with you tonight. Shit. Let me see if I can call him real quick.
Yeah, sure. You could. I'll hang on.
All right.
I've got some tea.
Hey, sorry to bother you. Listen. Hey, sorry. Yeah. Is that the guy that I was smart ass with? Oh, this is a different guy? Oh, yeah, I was going to say, it sounded like him, but. Well, listen, kind of misread or just text here this morning because we just actually do a show and I'm realizing that we should do this together. But we just recorded an hour's worth of stuff. But I'm stuck. Dude, I totally flipped on that part. I just totally lost it on that part. Because his connection is perfect now. Whatever, but I stopped because I should probably reread that this morning. But wait into the 25 song dream set list, or we can just do this thing all over again. Well, with him, yeah, yeah. Right. So like we can stop the show right now where it is, and then we can reconvene. Fine, is that all right? Okay. All right. Because yeah, yeah. Okay. So, do you want me to finish the show with him, and then you can come on and we can do your dream set list too, or how do you want to do that? Are you sure? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What do you mean? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. I understand. Okay. And thank you for all your help with this. It's no clue, man. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It looks. I mean, as I'm going through it, it does look pretty easy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you, buddy. All right. Fine. All right. Okay.
So
So what we're
what
gonna
does Andy
do
want
is
to do? Yep. Go ahead.
you and I will finish. We'll do our set list and thing, and then before we post this, Andy and I will do another little thing where we'll do in post
Okay.
production where he comes on and then he'll do his dream set list, and
Okay.
we'll talk
That,
about. So it'll be added on after this.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Whatever you guys want to
Yeah.
do. It's your
Yeah.
channel. It's
Yeah.
fine. And I would like
You
to
know.
finish it. I mean, I'm having a great time, but
Yeah.
I want to kind of get this off my plate,
Yeah.
and I'm really
Understood.
happy we did it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm happy
And-
to finish it.
Yeah.
I
And I'm
miss
really
Andy, but
yeah.
you know, Uh-huh.
And I'm happy that this is perfect. I
yeah.
mean, you haven't had one issue so far.
No,
That's
I guess
great.
plugging in. I've
Yeah.
never plugged into
Yeah.
my modem ever. My
Right.
son's an electrical engineer, and I
Right.
called him, and I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, Dad, plug your
Right.
laptop into your modem, and boom,
Boom.
perfect. Yeah, he
See,
goes,
these
makes a
kids,
big
man, they
difference.
know
Yeah.
what the hell they're doing.
Yep. I know.
All right. Okay. Here we're gonna get going again in 2 seconds. All right. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Tim. That was great. Great discussion. Great. Thank you for showing us all of that stuff. I guess it's making me want to get an acoustic guitar and learn a little bit about that, because it is really unique. Seeing how your fingers are moving up and down. And it's interesting. I mean, I've
It's
always
never
been
too late.
curious.
It's never too late to
Yeah,
learn, Tom.
I guess. I mean, it is really interesting. It looks great. And damn, some of those riffs, acoustic riffs, are just special. They're terrific. One thing I do want to talk to you about, and I would love your take on this, because listen, another wonderful acoustic guitar player is George Harrison, and he's also a great lyricist. But let's go back to the Chaos and Creation record, and with the particular song "Friends to Go." And if you listen to that second disc, or there's an interview with Paul where he talks about each track, and he talks about "Friends to Go," and he talks about how he feels George Harrison could have written this song or played this song. And I'm curious if you feel like, if it is he talking about acoustic, what, because he's not very specific about what he's doing in that song that George might do. And for me, I take it as the acoustic guitar playing, not necessarily lyrically. What do you think on that? What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
and when I first heard it and I heard Paul's comments, I wasn't really sure what he meant. I know he mentioned writing Long and Winding Road and thinking of
Right.
Ray Charles and channeling Ray Charles, and then he said, "But
Hmm.
I didn't sing it like Ray Charles, and our version doesn't
Right.
sound like a Ray Charles song." So I initially kind of thought of it as just he was thinking of George. He was missing his
Hmm.
old friend, and when he
Right.
wrote the song, but it really wasn't more than that. But I think it is more than that actually, and I do think it's George more as an acoustic player. So
Hmm.
Friends to Go, I won't play any of it, but I'll show
Right.
you just what I would say is it has lots of quick chord changes and certain types of chords. So I was kind
Right.
of thinking in my mind if Paul was channeling, um, Beetle George, maybe sitting in Abbey Road singing with George, what
Hmm.
song maybe this is a little like? And I come up with Think for Yourself as the
Hmm.
closest song. I'm not saying it sounds like Friends to Go, but maybe he was remembering that time, huddled around a microphone with George singing harmonies and
Right.
something like that. It has a similar chord structure. It's not the same, but similar. But
Okay.
the more I thought about it, I gave this one a lot of thought, Tom.
Right.
I think Paul is probably thinking of George as he knew him after the Beatles, later day
Okay.
George. And I imagine Paul doesn't know all George Harrison's deep tracks on, extra texture.
Right.
I think so. If he was thinking of a song, I mean, maybe he does.
Mm. Right.
But if he's thinking of a song, it's probably a big George Harrison song. It's probably a song that was in the air, played on the radio that Paul may not even been thinking of specifically, but it might have just been on his mind as he was thinking of George. So
Hmm.
if you don't mind, I'll play just a bit of a George Harrison song. I love
Okay.
George. I do a lot of George now, and
Right.
just see if you think so or not. And I'll tell you why in a second. So
Right.
this is just a quick piece. I think you'll recognize it.
Mm.
So of course, Give Me Love, Give
Give
Me
me love.
Peace.
Yep.
The reason I say maybe one is a huge hit. Paul would definitely know that song. I don't know
Right.
how many he would know if he was picking up a guitar. And that song has a lot of quick chord changes, and it has minor chords like chords like that, which are very
Hmm.
much in Friends to Go. Has seventh
Hmm.
chords. So again, I'm not going to get too technical, but it does have a similar chord structure. It's not the same. And
Hmm.
maybe that wasn't there. And I'm not saying Paul consciously was trying to duplicate it, but maybe if he was just thinking about George and he was kind of hearing George in his head, something like that
Hmm.
was on his mind. So that's my best answer is maybe Think for Yourself or Give Me Love. Probably more Give Me Love, I think
Right.
is more logical, but maybe
Mm.
nothing, or maybe he was just thinking of George.
Right.
I think the Waiting for the Friends to Go on the other side line, though, maybe he was thinking of George's kind of spirituality and
Okay.
Hinduism and all that. Maybe that's part of it. It's hard to say, but
Mm.
it's a great song, and
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
one of my favorite.
It
Chaos is one of my favorite albums. So
well again, I mean, a lot of interesting songs, a lot of
yeah.
again, Riding the Vanity Fair, I think
Oh,
is just up there as one of his best compositions.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
say that. I just recently listened to your ranking the tracks on Memory Almost Full because
Hmm.
I listen to you guys as an audio podcast. Even though
Right.
I'm a YouTuber, I don't really watch a
Right.
lot on YouTube. But once in a while, I catch you, but not a
Hmm.
lot. That's why I don't comment. But I listen to everything, and you guys just posted Memory Almost Full,
Yeah.
so you
Right.
probably recorded a long time ago. But
Yeah.
I just listened to it, and you guys completely turned me on to House of Wax.
Uh.
I had missed that song. I used to just think of it as kind of a bore. I know it sounds horrible. I like boring, just
Mhm.
repetitive, slow song. And if you just give it a chance, which you guys convinced me to do,
Right.
because you both rated it very high, I
Yeah.
think.
Hmm.
God, that's a great song. I mean, I
Yeah.
love House of Wax. So that's the kind of stuff your channel does for me. I might try that on guitar just to give it a shot. I haven't done it yet,
Right.
um, but anyway.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's interesting you say that because there's times where a song might not catch your ear right away, and then you'll, you know, maybe 10, 20 years will go by, and then you'll hear somebody talk about it, and then you go back and listen to the song, and you think, you know what, maybe I missed something with the song. Hope of Deliverance, was that song for me. I mean, I didn't really care for it. I didn't really give it much of a thought, after hearing Off the Ground for the first time. But now I think Hope of Deliverance is is a great song. you
That's funny.
know,
I probably went the other way with that. I probably liked
right,
Hope of Deliverance more when it came
right,
out, and less now. It's less
right,
interesting to me than some of the other songs,
yeah,
but I mean, I still like it.
hmm
Um, but yeah, I know what you mean, and that yeah, you guys have commented on that a lot on the podcast, and
yeah,
it's so true. Songs,
right,
albums rise and fall, and songs rise
right,
and fall.
yeah,
But Riding to Vanity Fair, one of my top all-time favorite
right.
Paul McCartney songs, including Beatles songs. I think it's
Oh,
that good. I really
cool,
do.
very
Um,
cool.
but
Cool. So we got a special thing here that we're gonna add to this show. Andy's got a friend named Bob, and he came up with this idea for us to do our like a dream acoustic guitar set list. So we picked 25 songs. It doesn't have to be in any necessarily in any order in a way. It could just be 25 songs, and we'll just talk about the 25 songs that we picked for this dream acoustic guitar set list. That's would be great for an intimate setting. Maybe like a 5,000 seat theater. Obviously I don't know if this would be the big arena type show, but this is cool because again, in a way, it made me look at some songs differently because he just does so many wonderful acoustic guitar songs, and I'm kind of curious to see what you would pick. Now, everything on your list, have you done a video for, or is
hmm.
there?
Uh, when I go through my list, I'll tell you
Okay,
probably 90% or more. I
okay,
would say
okay,
just about,
okay, gotcha.
probably just about.
Okay, well, why don't we do five at a time? Okay, and I'll
Okay.
have you start with your first five. Again, it doesn't have to be in any particular order. It can just be
What?
five.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I did do an order. I actually did a set
Okay.
list. Just
Oh,
I
great.
didn't I know we didn't give a lot of like so
Right.
I was thinking exactly what you were. Paul,
hmm
I was thinking in my mind maybe a 5 show run in
Right.
London in a small
Right.
theater, fly over, 5 shows in New York, like a little
Right.
mini tour like this. So I was thinking, and
Right.
I'll say this, I think Paul could do this set. Like he
hmm
could do this right now at age 80, I believe.
Oh,
This
so you
acoustic
took you
set.
took
I
his
took
voice
it
under
yeah, I
consideration.
mean, I
Okay.
really don't. Most of these acoustic songs, I think he could sing. He does a lot of them. I'm not
Right.
saying he's going to sing them the way he did originally, but he could do
Right.
them. So my, if Paul's watching, hey, this is a recommendation. This is a set list. So, and I did a couple of ground rules real quick. All my songs are written by Paul McCartney, at least co-write. So no covers.
Okay.
I'm not going to have him do Working Class Hero or something like
Right.
that. Would be really cool, but we're not going to go. I thought that would too complicate things. All my songs are released post Beatles. So
Okay.
no Yesterday or Blackbird, but
Right.
Junk could be on there and Teddy Boy can be on there if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And the last thing I used for criteria is the acoustic guitar has to be the signature instrument. So
Understood.
a song like
Right.
Waterfalls, it's not. He does play an acoustic solo on Waterfalls, which I love,
Mm-hmm.
but to me that's a keyboard song. So I didn't. You may have, but I didn't include those. I mean, I played that on acoustic guitar and he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the list, I stuck with acoustic based songs. At least, there could be some difference of what's acoustic based or not. Like Dominoes maybe is
Right.
iffy, but most of them I would say they're classically acoustic. So that's just
Great.
my ground rules.
Okay. Right.
So I picture, let me see, I'm gonna just play. I'm just gonna play one thing just to start
Right.
it. This is how I'd like him to start the concert. Then I won't play anymore.
That's
So
right.
I'm going to start with this.
Ah. Yep.
So we're open tonight, of course, from Back to
Yes.
the Egg. So I want Paul to come out serious, like serious Paul, in dark. I'm picturing like a spotlight on his stool and a spotlight on his
Right.
guitar. Paul comes out and he just plays that. So he
Right.
plays "We're Open Tonight," obviously short. I think he can sing it, and he takes that right into Venus and Mars.
Mm.
And I'd like him to do the reprise and add the extra verses just to make maybe a 1 minute
Right.
song, a 2 minute song. So that's first. We're Open Tonight, Venus and Mars. Then he's going to introduce himself to the crowd and say how
Right.
happy he is, and he's going to play "Happy with You." So
Yeah.
that's going to be
Nice.
song 3, "Happy with
Right.
You" from Egypt Station. Number 4, "Too Many People" from Ram, the
Mm.
opening track. And then number 5, I have Dominoes. So 2 kind
Okay.
of upbeat acoustic songs as my first 5.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I liked your criteria. I like how you thought about five, six, seven, eight shows, in London, and then same in New York. I mean, every show obviously would sell out. I think a lot of people are dying for something like this, right? A more
I'm
intimate,
dying for it.
yeah. I mean, ticket prices might be through the roof
Yeah.
for them.
Hey, full disclaimer, I didn't see the
Right.
Get Back tour. And
Uh,
it has nothing to do with his voice or set
right.
list. It's I need to go to intimate shows now. At this point in my
Right.
life, I don't
Yeah.
want to go. I know it sounded great what you saw, and I'm sure I would
Yeah.
have loved it, but I love going to house concerts now. I love going to
Right.
small theaters. So if Paul did something like this in a small theater, if I could afford it, I would do it
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No,
go
that's
ahead with
great.
yours. Yep.
All right. So the first five. Listen, I did the same thing too. He had to at least been the co-writer for the song. I didn't pick any Beatles songs as well, but I don't see how he can do this without doing 20 Flight Rock. I think that song is just so important to his history, that for me that's what he opens the show with is 20 Flight Rock, just to get going and
Yeah.
getting into the show. Next, I would go. That would be something from the debut album. Um, blah, 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 yeah. One of These Days from McCartney 2, I think is a nice little number that he does. Then goes into Somebody Who Cares from Tug of War, and then Footprints from Press to Play.
All
So
right.
those would
Well,
be
I
my
love
first
them
five.
all. We'll see
Yeah.
what similar songs or same songs we have in our
Right.
lists.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Do you want me to just go on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Number
Go ahead.
six.
Next
Okay.
five. Yep.
And I did cheat a little bit. I'm giving Paul, as the artist he is,
Mm-hmm.
some choice. There's option points on my set list where he can go with different songs,
Right.
depending on his mood and how he's reading the crowd. So I did
Mm-hmm.
try to give this some thought. So number six would be from McCartney 3. He's got to do some McCartney 3.
Yes.
So it would either be Pretty Boys or The Kiss of Venus. So that's
Right.
my number six, one or the
Okay.
other. Then I'm going to go with some heavy hitters. 7 would be Tug of War.
Mm-hmm.
8 would be Another Day, and 9 would be Hope of Deliverance.
Right.
And then 10, we're going to take it back down. Another choice, Mama's Little Girl, or
Ah.
which I love,
Right.
or Junk. And he could do sing along Junk if he wants to give a little vocal break, but that
Right.
would be
Yeah.
the choice there. But
Yeah.
that's number 10 on my list.
I just love how the McCartney Unplugged ends with Sing Along Junk. The TV show. I just think that's a great way to end end the show.
Absolutely.
My next five, I'm going with Flowers, and I'm going with Distractions. Then I also have Hope of Deliverance as well. Got to have Calico Skies. Sticking with Flaming Pie, Little Willow, and Great Day as well. So
Great.
he's really, obviously, there's so many great, acoustic guitar numbers on Flaming Pie. Little Willow, I don't think he's done that live. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Not aware
Everybody
of it.
that has seen him more than I have. But again, that's always the number. I'm sure that would be an emotional thing for him to sing, maybe. But would die to see him, see him do that live.
Yeah, for sure. I will say Little Willow didn't make my list, but this isn't my favorite 25 Paul McCartney songs. It's
Right.
this acoustic set. I try to kind of
Yes.
give a theme to it, but Little Willow is a beautiful
Yeah.
one. It could certainly make it.
Mhm.
And I have some honorable mentions at the end if you want to get to them. But
Yeah, absolutely.
do you want me to go to number 11 then?
Yep. Go ahead.
So here's the only time I give him a choice of 3, a trifecta, all off speed of sound.
Right.
What I
Okay.
really want to hear is San Ferian. That's what I want to hear. But if he's in a more romantic mood, he could do I'm
Right.
Carrying.
Right.
And if he's in a more funky, fun mood, Famous Groupies, which I like Famous Groupies.
Yeah.
And it would be a great, upbeat acoustic song. He could be silly. He could be Showman Paul on that if he wanted. So
Right.
depending on the mood, one of those 3. Number 12, some people never know. He's got to do
Mhm.
it. We've already discussed it. Number 13, I totally agree on Footprints. I put that right almost at Riding the Vanity Fair level. I love Footprints. So that's a co-write, right?
Excellent.
With
Yeah.
Eric Stewart. But
Eric
definitely
Stewart.
my favorite song on
Right.
Press to Play, without question. I think the mood the mood that's, I mean, it feels
Mhm.
like a winter's day with the snow falling. And
Right.
that's just magical to me. So
Right.
Footprints, yes, that's number 13. Number 14, a choice, but you'll see why. 14, Calico Skies. Or if he wants to sneak in When Winter Comes sometimes, he
Right.
could go with that since he recorded them the same day, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Calico Skies would be the main one, but if he did 10 shows,
Right.
maybe once or twice, throw in When
Right.
Winter Comes, which I also really, really like.
Right.
And then number 15, might have been the same. You might have given a choice, but I have Some Days or Great Day from Flaming Pie as a choice
Excellent.
again.
Right.
More of a ballad or more of a
Right.
bluesy song. So that's my 15. Number
And
15.
yeah, and that's interesting too because if he's going to do five 5 shows at one place, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of like something like Neil Young or Bob Dylan
Mm-hmm.
would do that. They would have their core songs, but then say like the other half of the songs he'd switch up.
Right. Even
So
if he just did it one time,
right,
do When Winter Comes instead of
right,
Calico Skies. That'd be the one show he did it live.
yes,
I mean, that would be really cool, Paul. I mean,
I
I think these are good
yeah,
ideas. I
yeah,
mean,
I
you could pick
agree.
different songs, but
Right,
still. Anyway,
right.
so you're
Okay,
right.
my next five. And you know what? And just to, you said some people never know. I would have loved to have put this on here. I just don't think he would do it because it's, the duet with Linda. But I so much wanted to add that, but I just was also trying to think, would he do that? And I don't
Yeah,
know.
he may not. You're right. And
Yeah,
there's certain songs he may not do for certain
right.
reasons, but
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Starting off, then I'd go with Mulligan Tire. I that song can be done without the bag. I mean, it doesn't need the bagpipes, but even though the bagpipes, elevates it to such a wonderful song. Maybe he would have somebody at the bagpipes come out. Which is maybe it's cheating, maybe it's not, but
I,
I would die to see him do. I mean,
yeah.
we're every else around the world gets to hear McCartney live, but we don't.
Oh, I believe
It's
me,
not.
I love
Yeah,
Mulligan. I've done it
yeah,
with a lone bagpiper myself live, and
really.
even Paul could do that.
Yeah,
But it made my honorable mention list just because I thought
right,
he probably wouldn't do it without a bagpipe, and I kind of
right.
stuck to no other musicians. But we could add, I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind having Lawrence Juber just do
right.
a second acoustic
Yeah,
guitar with Paul, or even Denny Lane. I would love something
right,
like that, but I don't want to go crazy on my list, so I
right,
kept that out.
right. So after McCartney, we go to another track which I would love to see him do live, and that's "Early Days." I love his vocal performance on that as the older person looking back. "Sun Is Shining" would be number three. I had to put Friends to Go in there,
Yes. Yeah.
and then that would kind of be like his tribute to George, and then Jenny Wren, which again, another great acoustic bit from Paul.
No, it's great. And I have to confess off the top of my head, remind me of Sun is Shining.
Yeah.
Where's that one? Where's that one
Oh, that
from?
was Electric Arguments, the
Okay.
third
Oh,
the
okay.
third
You know what?
Fireman album. Yeah.
I like that very much. A lot of when I listen to that, I don't think I know a lot of the titles. I just listen to the
Right.
song because I almost listen to that album as like in one sitting,
Right.
and song goes into song, and I don't really look at the titles to some of those, but
Hmm.
I'm sure I
Yeah.
know it. But
Yeah.
that's
Go
great.
back and go
Yeah,
back and check that one out.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Okay.
All right, so we're up to
Next
number
five.
16 for me, which
Right.
it's funny. We didn't know we were going to break these out in fives, but
Right.
I decided Paul would usually do an acoustic set in his concert, so he can't do
Right.
that. But he could do. I'm going to call it a nostalgia set now, and it's five
Okay.
songs, so it's perfect for the next
Right.
segment. So we're
Right.
going to start song 16 of the nostalgia set with "Summer of '59"
Ah.
or "In Liverpool." So we're going deep on both, but both are
Yes.
perfect to set the mood. Let's go back
Yes.
to
Right.
childhood. Number 17 has to play On the Wings of a Nightingale. Has to play it,
Ooh. Ooh.
like his acoustic demo, but or play it however he wants. But
Right.
that's got to be on there. That's my 17. He can't cover the Everly Brothers in my show, but he can
Right.
sing that song. 18, Early Days, or I did give it a choice to the songs we were singing from Flaming Pie, a
Mhm.
similar type of song. But Early Days was kind of my first choice. And then Nostalgia, 19 Here Today, and 20
Right.
Friends to Go. So that's the
Right.
nostalgia set right there.
Excellent. Love it. Okay. Next five for me. You know, we you talked about this earlier. Happy with you. Again, I think that song fits his vocals now. Again, kind of like looking back in a way. Um, I'm going. I'm going with both songs from McCartney 3. Pretty Boys and Kiss of Venus.
Mhm.
It frustrates me when he doesn't, you know, give his new material, the respect it kind of deserves. I was kind of really disappointed that I didn't get to see him do Women and Wives live. I think he should, give more respect to, um, the album that he's actually touring on in a way. You know what
Sure.
I
I mean,
mean?
I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love both those songs. That's why
yeah,
they made my list too. But yeah,
right,
it's unfortunate that he
right.
cut that out or didn't add some of the other songs. But
Right. Then he puts the acoustic guitar down and he gets the ukulele.
oh,
he does,
okay, all
and
right.
then he does Ram on.
Oh, okay.
Had to put that in there. Um, and then he does Love and Song.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice choice. Nice
yeah,
choice. I know I've done a lesson
yeah.
for that. That's a difficult one. It's kind of a
Is it
strange, it's just kind of a
okay?
strange progression. But
Okay,
great song, beautiful song, great choice. It's
right.
not on my list. I don't think I thought of that one off the top of my head, but
Mm,
when I did this.
okay.
Is that
Hey,
it?
you're
Is
I
that
think your last five.
I'm at last five.
Yeah.
So, all right, we've done 20. So 21. I have two more songs in the set proper, and then I have
Okay.
three as an encore.
Right.
So number 21, Heart of the Country from Ram, to me, just an iconic acoustic song by
Mhm.
Paul.
Right.
That one might be a tough one to sing and play, but I think he could do it if he wanted to.
Right.
And 22, Jenny Wren, as you had.
Right.
How if he's doing acoustic songs, he can't do Blackbird, he can't do Yesterday. I think he's
Yeah.
got to
Good
do Jenny
points.
Wren.
Right.
And it's a great song from Chaos, which I already said is one of
Mhm.
my favorite albums. So that's it. He ends, with Jenny Wren, goes off stage, comes back, and does three more songs. So first, number 23, he thanks the crowd. It's been a great night. It's been an intimate night. And
Mhm.
he thanks his trusty acoustic guitar. So of course he's going to play Confidant,
Ah,
dedicated to his guitar and everything it's brought to
nice.
him and all that. So Confidant's
Right.
23. 24, I kind of went serious. I was a little more less party Paul, a little more introspective Paul. So I went with Too Much Rain from Chaos.
Oh, I
So
like that. Yeah.
24, that, and then
Mhm.
to finish the show, I give him an option so he can go two different ways.
Mhm.
I have One of These Days from McCartney
Right.
2 if he wants to kind of go a little more serious, somber.
Right.
But if he wants to go a little more party, sing along every night from McCartney, he'd have the crowd
Mm.
singing along and doing it that way. I think Paul would probably go with every night, but I wouldn't mind him finishing kind of the way he started. So I
Right.
went a little different. I didn't try to go what I think Paul would do. I went as a
Right.
fan, what would I want him to do if I were sitting there? And I'd want him to do kind of more of the serious, intimate
Right.
songs than the party songs. But I would love it all.
Mhm.
So that's it. That's my
Right.
25. I have some honorable mentions, but we'll hold those.
Yeah. Okay. Um, my last five. I kind of had like the same idea as you. Lead does a couple more songs and then leaves and then comes out and does three as well. He ends the regular set with Long Tail Winter Bird, and then I also had Sanfarian as well. Just think, it's a song that I've come to love more and more as I hear it. I just, that bass line is fantastic, and I love the brass that plays throughout it as well. Obviously, we wouldn't get that with this, but super song, and I think it's getting more respect as it ages. So obviously, then he leaves and comes back out. He comes back out with Elvis Costello,
Oh, okay. All right.
and they do 20 Fine Fingers
Oh, yes.
together. The one of the bonus tracks from Flowers in the Dirt. He leaves. Then he does Tug of War, um, and then he ends it with Sing Along Junk, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
yeah, yeah, and that's
Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah, and
I
that's how
thought
I
about the Elvis thing. I wasn't
right,
going to bring him out because I just kind of ruled out any
right,
guests, but I
true,
did think about the
yeah,
Elvis because I really do like the
yeah,
Elvis collaborations.
right,
Of course, the demos, but I like the finished product too. But I did think about it. And if we want to do honorable mentions, I
Yeah,
did
go
hit
ahead and
one, and
shoot a couple
I'll
out.
just shoot them out real quick.
Yeah.
I had Mulligan Tire. I only didn't include it because of the bagpipe, but he certainly could do it just on acoustic guitar, and it would be wonderful to hear. It really would. I'd almost rather hear it without the bagpipe just to hear it a different way. But
Yeah.
I didn't do it because I didn't think he'd play it without the bagpipe. Little Lamb Dragonfly.
Just so you
Mamoon,
can see how he's picking.
yeah, so I can copy him. Yes, we had
Right.
put out a video so I can
Right.
learn how to play it. Mamunia, I really like that on Band on the Run. I think Andy's high on that if
Right.
I remember.
Yeah, not so
I
much, but that's
yeah,
all right.
but I just thought his acoustic song. It might be hard vocally. That might be a challenge. I mean, it didn't make my list. It's an honorable mention by himself because it's such a harmony song. But it might be interesting to just hear him play it by himself. Distractions I had. Somebody Who Cares. The pound is sinking. I'm not sure if I consider that an acoustic song. That's why I didn't include it, but I love it so much. And he does play acoustic guitar on it. So I possibly, and then finally I put So Like Candy with Elvis. So I did
Nice.
So Like
Yeah.
Candy as an
Right.
honorable mention, which could be any of the collaborations, but I really like that one. I
Right.
think I have a lesson coming for that one. I've already recorded.
Oh, really?
So that will be coming out. I've done a lot of because it's all acoustic. It's perfect for my channel. So I've done a lot of their collaborations. And they're wonderful, and it's such a clean recording because you can just really hear the guitars. There's no other instruments. It's easier for me to use my ear to pick out what they're doing. So that's my honorable mentions.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Tim, for that list, and thank you for coming on and showcasing the acoustic guitar for us on this first and hopefully a series where we're going to bring on musicians and they're going to talk about different instruments that we think that Paul McCartney excels with, and then obviously the acoustic guitar is one of them. Before we take off, please remind the people about your YouTube channel and plug away. What anything else that you got coming up on the channel?
Well, again, it's Judge Timbers on YouTube. Like I said, I mean, feel free to, drop in, whether you subscribe or do anything. It's up to you. Like I said, it's just a passion project. So everybody's welcome there. And I hope you check it out. I do some original songs. I'm not going to push those. They're out there once in a while. I do some collaborations with other YouTube artists, collaborated people from England, Australia. So some fun stuff there. But I really, like I said, I'm not pushing my channel on anybody. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. It's really an honor. It's like a bucket list item to be on with you, Tom. And I know I got to speak to Andy privately. And I really love what you guys are doing. And your other podcast is great too. Ken and Joe and Kit and all those folks. And, I've just gotten so much out of the Beetle podcast world, but because I'm such a Paul McCartney fan, Two Legs is the one that resonates the most with me. I can't listen to all of them. Two Legs, I never miss. So it's great.
Well,
and I did, if I could, I wanted to end I wanted to thank you and Andy for having me on. I hope you'll indulge me for maybe 15 seconds. I want to play something you might recognize as my thank you to you, Andy, and your listeners for having me. So hopefully I haven't played in a while. So this is for Two Legs.
Nice.
Hopefully you recognize that one. Is that a Dylan CV original?
It might be.
I'm not sure who wrote that. I would give credit. I don't know who that.
Dylan Seavey, does the music for us.
Oh, that's great. And I hope he doesn't mind me playing one of his songs. But
no.
That's I love that theme. And when you asked me to be on, I was like, I'm going to learn that, and I just wanted to play it. And again, thank you so much,
Tom. I think
Tom.
you'll be touched.
I hope so. And I love Dylan. He's a professional musician, unlike me, and I love when he's a guest, and he does a lot of other podcasts, and it's great. So I really appreciate that. But thank you, Tom, so much.
Absolutely.
And Andy, for giving me this opportunity. And I wish you guys the best of luck. And I'm going to keep watching. Like I said, you won't see me too much commenting on the live stuff, but don't think I'm not listening. I'm listening with headphones, walking
Right.
and
I
doing that
appreciate
kind
that.
of stuff.
Thank
So
you.
I'm not missing you guys. So thanks
No,
so much.
that's all right. We appreciate you coming on, and this was wonderful. And hopefully, this will influence people to maybe pick up a guitar and learn those songs. And please go to Tim's YouTube channel if you want to learn more about acoustic guitar playing, whether it's John, Paul, George, or Ringo, or Tom Petty, or anybody else that he plays on his channel. I think you guys will get a kick out of it, and you'll learn something, which is great. So Tim, we want to thank you again for coming on and showing us these wonderful songs. So please, everybody, check out Tim's YouTube channel, which is Judge Timbers. Okay.
Thanks,
So,
Tom.
yep. And we're back, and Andy, you made it.
I made it. I finally made it to this episode. First time in Two Legs history that
I know.
on video anyway, that I had to join you later.
Right. But again, first week of back to work, it's it gets pretty hectic. I can understand that.
Yeah, but great job there with Tim and doing the show and him showing us his guitar and his history and how he became a fan and self-taught himself and went through the demonstration of those songs. And it was nice to actually have a musician go over it. I don't think we've ever done that before.
Yeah, no. So hopefully this may be the first in the series. Dylan Seavey has already agreed to do the drumming aspect of McCartney. So hopefully we'll get that going together soon. And if you guys like this, let us know, and we'll do more of these if you want. So
different kind of a show. If McCartney was ever going to do an all acoustic thing, what would you all like to see and hear?
Right, exactly. So Andy, during the show, I thanked your friend Bob, but this was like his idea for this, like the acoustic set list type thing, right?
Yeah. Bob is Bob Davison, our friend of Two Legs, is a big Dylan aficionado, and we've had chats, and he's like, hey, a good show for maybe a good topic would be if McCartney ever did an all acoustic show, what would those songs be?
Right. So you have a list with you, so why don't you go ahead and give us?
Yeah. So I know you and Tim did a little bit different way. I didn't structure it like opening song, middle of the set, closing set. But if Paul were to do, a set, say 25 songs, these are the 25 I'd see. Now, when I get 10 through 1 would be like my all-time favorite acoustic song. So I'll rip through them real quick, and I'm very curious to see if we match up, because we usually do more often than not. So I'll just rank them. When I get to 10, I'll stop, and just so you know where I'm at.
Go ahead.
So I would go with Pretty Boys. Okay. Put It There.
Right.
Bluebird. Happy With You. Hope of Deliverance. Young Boy. Friends to Go. On the Wings of a Nightingale. the song for the Everly Brothers. Did you have that?
No, I did not.
I'm like, Tom would have that one. Yeah. I thought you would. On My Way to Work from New. Great Day. Ram On. Dance Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Calico Skies. Early Days. Little Willow. Now here's the top 10. That would be my all-time 10 favorite acoustic McCartney tracks.
Okay.
Number 10, Somebody Who Cares. 9, Dominoes. 8, I'm Carrying. 7, Deliver Your Children. 6, Every Night. 5, Junk. 4, Little Lamb Dragonfly. 3, One of These Days. 2, Mama's Little Girl. And 1, Some People Never Know.
Nice. Yes. See, now that's funny you did that because because I wanted to add Some People Never Know on the list. Okay, but I'm in my opinion, like, well, because Linda's not with us, and I don't think he would ever do that song without Linda. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, it's a wish list, but I'm also trying to be realistic as well a little bit.
You're trying to present, like, if he was doing it now, what would he be doing? Kind of like what Dylan's original idea was when we were doing this.
We totally just broke all the rules.
Peace and love, Dylan. I'm gonna give you a little go.
But I you had a few that I didn't have. I mean, you had Dance Tonight. On My Way to Work, Put It There, Bluebird, On the Wings of the Nightingale, Little Lad and Dragonfly, Mama's Little Girl. Those ones I did not have. But yeah, I mean the rest of them, yeah. So you know, we had pretty
I
much
would
the
think,
same.
yeah, I'm sure we matched up probably 40 or 50% of the songs.
Right.
Because really, there's not a whole lot of solo acoustic McCartney songs in his
Right.
solo discography. These are like the best of the best. I mean, there's some others, but these are the ones. You know, these are the real ones. I think
Right.
just going through his main canon.
Yeah.
We're not going through the Unplugged. We're not going to Chopa. If we're
Right.
looking at the main canon, like we did with ranking the tracks, and we're looking at pure acoustic, obviously, you know, just for the most part. This is what they would be, give or take a few that we might be missing. But
Right. I did pick 20 Flight Rock because I don't think there's ever be a time where he has an acoustic guitar and doesn't play 20 Flight Rock. You know, I think
of
that's
course,
just like, you know. But a lot of stuff there. I mean, I would wonder too if he would ever do something like Eric Clapton did with Layla. You know, take a classic, you know, electric guitar, electric heavy, you know, song, and then you know do a new arrangement with it with you know acoustic guitar. You know, so
well, you could say that he did that. I mean, it didn't become a bona fide hit, but if you go, it wasn't totally different, but it was a radically different arrangement. If you listen to "And I Love Her" on
mhm.
Unplugged, totally different arrangement than the
Yeah,
Beatles
that's true.
recording.
But that was already an acoustic song to begin with.
It was. It wasn't like
You
Layla
know,
was obviously a rocker,
right?
which became this stripped
Correct.
down and really low
Yes.
key
Yeah.
thing.
Like, would he
What
do
tracks
that? Like
would he do that with Band on the Run?
you know, again, I could see that, or Beware My Love. You know, some big rocker that he has in his catalog, or Junior's Farm.
It's
You
very
know,
Bob Dylan esque, actually, when you
yeah.
think about it.
Mhm. Right.
Junior's Farm. You can't not rock that song. I can't think of it. You
Right.
can't do an acoustic version of Junior's Farm. You just can't.
Well, you never know.
What
But
ones would work off the top of your head, though? What do you think?
as an electric guitar driven song with an acoustic arrangement,
And slow it down a little bit.
you know, maybe you know, rock show, maybe a little bit. Maybe I would love to see him do like an acoustic version of 1985.
Mm,
You know, let's see here.
maybe getting closer.
Getting close, Big Barn Bed,
Yeah.
maybe. Um, you know, yeah. I mean, there's Helen Wheels even
Helen
maybe.
Wheels, Get on the
Yeah,
Right Thing. You know,
get on the right thing. Yeah, yeah.
it would be interesting. It's so outside of what he normally does, though. It would
Right,
probably
right,
never happen. Ben,
right.
did you guys talk about? Because I didn't get a chance to watch all the episode because you guys talked for quite a while.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, Beatles songs would be in his set list. You know, there's no doubt about it.
Well, yeah, but we didn't include any in our set list.
Naturally,
So
I didn't think you
yeah,
would.
yeah, we kept it all solo. But yeah, again, you know, if he was to do that, I would imagine that realistically, you know, he would probably have
Or
half of the set
listen,
list
he's
acoustic.
got a portion of his show that he does in this format, right? So
Mhm.
5 or 6 songs, 7 songs where the band goes away and it's just him and the guitar. And you know
Right.
what I did not have on my list was one that's been worn to death, and that's Here Today. Did you
Mhm.
have Here Today?
I don't think I did.
Yeah,
I don't think I did. Yeah.
because you know we don't need to see that one done in a show again.
Yeah, that's true. We don't. But yeah, but thanks again, Bob, for that idea. It had a lot of fun picking. I mean, there was a couple minutes where I was just like, would this work? You know, or do I put this in there? But you know, for the most part, I knew what songs I was going to put in there, for the most part. But there
Uh,
was like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 where I was like, you know what, he could still do this, you know, if he wanted to. You know, it wouldn't be oh darling, that's for sure.
no, no,
So,
I think working like the instrumental version of Junk is something that could be easily done.
right, right.
You know,
Oh,
did it
absolutely.
so well on the Unplugged show when he closed
Yeah,
out the set playing that.
agreed. Agreed
Just
100%.
so awesome.
Yeah. But you know, release wise, just got this big
Oh
15
yeah.
pound,
Well, there.
you know, package
This
in
is
the
another
mail.
weighty
Yeah.
tome, people.
Yes.
There it is,
Here we
volume
go.
4.
4. A is for
A
Apple. I'm
is
trying
for
to get the
Apple, volume
glare out of there.
4.
You know, but
Just a tremendous. I'm
yeah.
jealous of you, man. That is
Oh, there we
such a
go.
well done book, and it's already sold out. If it's not sold out, YouTube people, please let me
Right.
know, because I'd
Right.
like to get a copy of it.
Right, but the guys at AppCore, Alex and everybody else. I mean, it's not Alex, but Axel. They do a fantastic job with the research and the images that they have in there. Like I said, like I was telling you before we recorded. I mean, I'm looking at the reel to reels. I'm looking at the 8 tracks. I'm looking at the cassettes of releases. And these aren't the UK or the US. I mean, these are from all over the world,
Right.
and again, you got, memos from Capital, Apple, I'll show you, you got the labels from all around
Now,
the
and then
world.
this is
Road
this is
right there.
obviously the all the
Yeah.
Apple label artists as well. So Mary Hopkin,
Everything
Badfinger,
with, yeah,
all of them, right?
yeah, everything dealing with Apple is in this book. And like I said, it's just, over 700 pages. It's mind blowing. The wealth
Well,
you know, of knowledge that you get from these books. And I posted on Instagram. I was like, while you're waiting on the next, tune in.
I was just gonna say that. You know what? You can sink your teeth into that epic for the next couple of years while you're waiting for Mark.
This series, A's for App, I truly believe that this could be the best series on the Beatles, the best series, books on the Beatles.
So for the
period.
uninitiated, now until I met you, was not aware of this series. It launched in 2014. It's a 4-part series just covering on the Apple era, right?
No.
So give me an overview of the 4 volumes. I have the German book, but give me the Apple. There's 4 Apple books. So give me the story.
So you're looking at 66, and right now the first volume went from 66 to 68. Okay, second volume went through January, March of 69. Okay, that's just the second volume. The third volume went to August, April to August of 69. Okay?
These are just a few months of a year, folks,
Exactly.
where the book is 600 pages. Now, I'll tell you, just having the Mac Show book, these guys do a fantastic job of scanning in art documents and and putting them in there. So it's not 600 pages of just text. There's tons of photographs, restored photographs, primary source material that is, just from the Mac Show book, which, going back to the Hamburg era, which is kind of my favorite era, that's why I bought it. That's what these books are. So if you're thinking it's 600 pages of text like Mark's book, it's not.
It's not, right. But, and then volume 4 is September to 69 to April 70.
And that's it.
And that's it. So obviously, there's going to be a couple more volumes. But I think, in the forward, they said that this was originally supposed to be a 4-volume set, but it's not. It's going to go.
Are they going to go up until when they dissolved it in 75?
I don't want to say yes right now because I'm not 100% sure on that. But here, but yeah, it's still.
I tell you what, Mr. Lewison, we've got to know him over the last year with the vests. I am sure he is using those books for some for some research assistance and help.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't.
Be curious if those authors have been in contact with him.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they know each other, and like you said, they swap information back and forth.
How could you not? With such a, we're talking about months. We're talking about a period of a couple of years that are being broken down into 4 books of at least 500-600 pages each,
right?
Just covering on Apple.
Yeah. The sad thing though is that they're going forward with volume 5. When they show the scans of the labels and the albums, it's just going to be UK and US now. They're not doing worldwide, which is one of the things I really like about the book.
Yeah, of course, Mr. International Sleeves himself, Hunyadi.
Yeah, but but there is a website now that you can go to called applerecords.nl.
Right.
And you can go there and you can check out all the labels, all the picture sleeves from the Apple label, and even Dark Horse
and Ringo Records, and they have a link to AppCore, but sadly the book is sold out. So
sold out. Yeah, maybe someone might put this on YouTube. I'm not YouTube, but eBay, and and have it for sale. As a matter of
That
fact,
would be nice.
that's how I got Volume 1 was on
eBay.
Yeah, because I had missed it. So luckily I got Volume 1.
This is like 8 Arms to all over again back in 2000. But I just pulled the trigger then and got it.
They only make 500 copies, of these. Yeah.
Wow.
But again, it's like it's a workout. Yeah, I mean, you got the Mach Chow book. It's the same size.
It's the same exact size.
Yeah, it's the same exact size. But it's just mind blowing. Again, the information,
high quality
scans, information, and again, I really wholeheartedly believe that this is the best series of books on the Beatles that you're going to find. Yeah, Lewison's the tune-in's great. I'm sure Volume 2 is going to be great when we finally get it. But as of right now,
you're going to put that. You're going to put that above Mark's work right now.
Right now.
I can't do that.
No, I can't. As a series of books, I mean, we only got one Volume 1. I mean, we only got one book from But as of right now, as a series,
have you read the extended cut of Tune In, the 2,000-page one?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Right, that is a serious work of art.
But it's only one book right now. It's Volume 1.
No, it's 2 books.
It's still Volume 1.
It's 2 books, and it's about 2,000 pages, and it covers
Volume 1.
It covers genealogy of the Beatles families going back to the 1800s.
When Volume 2 comes out, then it'll be a series, okay? And then I can reverse my.
Okay. Listen, you're all the Apple guys, and I listen. I'll put them right up there with Mark, but I can't put them above Mark, not yet. They're up there.
They're up there. But
hey, look, they do great work, and listen, I want their books. I want them. I only have one, so if it's for sale or anybody knows, let me know, please.
Yeah. So if you do have the book and if you've gone through it, let us know what you think of the A is for Apple books, and I'd love to get your thoughts on the series. I know quite a few people that are picking these books up. Robert Rodriguez. My cousin David. I know Tom Brennan gets them as well. I mean, there's again 500 people buy them. So they sell out every time.
And we're again worldwide here, and it's shipping. Exactly. This is coming overseas, so it's going to cost a little. It's going to cost a pretty penny.
It is, unfortunately. But Andy, what you got going on, buddy? Have you done a new episode yet?
I'm gonna do one very soon. So, very soon, as soon as we're done, I'm finally gonna do my show on Genesis which will be on my channel in the next day or two. So look for Andy's Music Vault. I'm gonna do an in-depth, kind of quick, kind of the way I do my other shows, where I kind of just grab the CDs because the albums are too bulky. I give a quick overview of the band history. I talk about my favorites and kind of lineup personnel changes. With Genesis, it's not as big as Yes because there's not as many members coming and going, but a very varied history. And that one will be coming the next day or two on my own channel, Andy's Music Vault, The Other Leg, for a little in-depth discussion on Genesis and how where I'm at with them and how I came to like that music.
Excellent. Very good. One day we'll have to do a Genesis Genesis album ranking or something like that.
Sure.
Rank all their albums.
Yeah, we could do that. Once you get through them all.
Yeah, I need to get. I do need to listen to. What's the last singer's name?
Ray Wilson.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that album with him.
Oh, Calling All Stations.
Calling All Stations.
No, we're not going to count that one. Let me do it. That's
we have to. Come on.
No, that's not. We're not.
What about the first two then? Genesis and then.
No, we're going from Trespass until We Can't Dance. That's it.
That's it, really.
We're not doing that first night. We're not doing that first one from '68 where they sound like the Bee Gees because they don't even like that album. From Genesis to Revelation, they don't. We're not. Ethan likes that album. Ethan, I know our friend Ethan Alexanian likes that album. We're not going to count that. We know. Listen, I think Calling All Stations. There's 1 or 2 good tracks on it, but I don't know.
The singer was also sang for Rutherford, Mike and the Mechanics.
Mike and the Mechanics, yeah, for a little while.
Okay.
For a little while. I give them credit for wanting to continue without Phil, but it just didn't last.
Yeah. No, I got you.
So yeah, we'll do it. Once you get through the rest of the Genesis stuff, we'll do a show on that as too.
Yep. Okay. And then my other show, Talk More Talk. Our next episode will be reviewing the latest EP from one Richard Starkey called EP3. So that'll be Monday night live on our YouTube channel, Talk More Talk, and be live 9 p.m. Eastern time. So check that out and join us for that. And then after that, we're going to be having our 100th episode special. So that'll be pretty interesting. What we're going to do is we're going to invite
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah, we're going to invite 25 people on to do a rack your brain episode, and and we'll talk more about that Monday night. So check that out.
Are you gonna have virtual cake? Are you gonna have virtual cake to celebrate your 100th episode?
Maybe. I'll get the wedding album out and I'll just take the picture.
There you go. Take that out. So that'll be your first show, like the newer show in a while, because you guys had.
Yeah, we took a little bit of a break, which is nice. Won't lie.
Sure.
But as you do 2 shows and work and marriage, it can get pretty hectic. And plus, big movie junkie that I am. And speaking of movie junkies, I'm really close. Since I got to play around with the StreamYard type thing, I felt I got a little confidence, and maybe I can feel like I can hit the record button myself.
Are you gonna do it?
Yeah, I'm going to figure out some time and start a movie channel. I'm just now kind of like thinking of a name for it. Whether or not I just want to be like a all media type thing, or just stick with like Blu-rays. And I'm still kind of tossing it up in the air.
You should. I mean, you have one of the biggest movie collections I've ever seen of anybody. So you could do your own thing. So easily.
Yeah. So
lots of luck, man. That's gonna be great.
Yeah. So hopefully next month sometime I'll get that up and running, and we'll be hitting you up for some knowledge of.
Hey man, you did the first half. You did the first part of this episode all solo, and you managed it well.
Yeah.
Only took a couple of text messages. Only took a couple of text messages. Where do I go next? How do I click? What's this?
Anyways,
recording? No.
On that note, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Two Legs Podcast. Email us at twolegspodcast@gmail.com. Again, in the comment section, if you're watching on YouTube, give us your thoughts on this acoustic guitar show, and let us know if you think we should carry on with the series. Like I said, we already got our buddy Dylan Seavey scheduled to do a drumming presentation, and that should be good. So again, thank you everybody for checking us out, and we're going to talk to you guys real soon. Next week, we got the great Jeff Cummings, the great illustrator, artist. His work from Temporary Secretary, Thrilling, the front and back, the inner jacket of Wings Over America. His work, you love it. So
great really chat. That was a great chat. You'll really treat with that one, gang.
Yeah. So he shows us some stuff. So you're definitely going to want to check that version on YouTube. So that being said, everybody, have a great day and a beautiful night. Take care.